All right, here we go. Does the Overwatch League have a lasting feature, or is it on its way out? Also, how come League, Dota, and CS have been able to last so long? So the reason why League, Dota, and CS, etc., have lasted a really long time is because those games have monetization models outside of their of esports. So let's. This is going to be a pretty long discussion, and I'm actually going to take a note on my show notes for it. So let's start off with this. Esports doesn't make money, okay? Ever. It doesn't make money for anyone, really. It only makes money for players. That's about it. It doesn't make money for brands. It doesn't really make money for sponsors. And it doesn't really make money for the game. And especially doesn't make money for the publishers. So you're going to see a lot more things like this, probably, for people that tunnel super hard on esports. But Activision is the worst offender, for sure, followed by League of Legends. The thing is that Riot has already done a lot of layoffs, but they managed to... They make, well, two things. One is they're invested in by Tencent, so they have a lot more cash to work with, usually. So they can take losses, and it's not as spooky. Two, Riot is privately owned under a public company, so they don't have to report the same type of stuff as like someone like Activision, which is a completely public company, does. So you can find out a little bit about Riot through Tencent, which has a stake in them, but Riot itself is a private company. So Riot's been doing a lot of layoffs too. At least, I think 30 or 40% of its workforce over the last like 2 or 3 years. So they're certainly overstaffed and also has a lot of problems of its own. But the bottom line is that esports doesn't make money. So the idea about how esports is supposed to make money is, this is how it works, okay? Players play the game. Lots of viewers like seeing the game played at that level, so viewers watch the game. And then sponsors come in and pay money to get in front of those viewers who are watching that game, either on commercial breaks or activations or things like that. The problem is that, and this model works, it just works at a scale that nobody wants it to work at. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that esports makes sense. It just makes sense at a very small scale right now. So it's the same with like cryptocurrency, right? Cryptocurrency is like completely legitimate. The fundamentals are really strong. The potential to change the world is there. Crypto is doing a lot of interesting things. Ethereum and Bitcoin are doing a lot of interesting things. There's currencies right now that are changing the way that we do business and are making the way that we do business more effective. But crypto is not near what it's in its infancy, right? And esports is in its infancy. So what you see happen is that there's, and this is probably the key point of this entire thing, there's a disparity between what the market wants something to do and what the market is actually going to do. That's probably the smartest thing I've ever said. There's a disparity between what the market wants an industry to do and what the market actually does. I'm gonna that's like some Gandhi level shit. What does that mean? It means that everybody wants esports to be of a certain level, but it's just a longer tail to get there. That if it's ever gonna get there. The problem is that everybody thinks. So Activision, I guess like I'll use Overwatch League as an example, because to me Overwatch League is like the biggest failure of this. Where I think basically Bobby Kotick's vision of the Overwatch League was, if we build it, they'll come. So what Bobby Kotick did was he went to all of these NFL and NBA people and all these like old school teams, and he said, look, your sports viewership is declining. You're losing people, and your people are old, right? The people that watch baseball are old. The people that watch NFL are old. They're 35, 40 plus. And the people that watch sports are old. So eventually these people are going to be so old that they're not going to even exist anymore. and you're not converting new viewers fast enough. So what do you do? And the sports team said, well, damn, that's a really big problem. What do we do, Bobby Kotick? And then Bobby Kotick was like, you do this. It's video games. Everybody's into video games. Look at how many people love video games. And you know what? They're 18 to 35. They're really young. And so everybody that loves video games will also love to watch video games. And if you invest $20 million in building a team in my league, the Overwatch League, everybody is going to watch your stuff and you're going to save sports forever. And so all the sports teams look at it and say, well, I pay Kobe Bryant $7 zillion a year. So for me to put $20 million into an esports team is whatever. And then Bobby Kotick says, oh yeah, and also we're going to have stadiums and people are going to come to your stadiums and they're going to watch games be played in your stadiums. Because if you look at something like, I don't know, Madison Square Garden League of Legends, and you look at this, you only need to show one picture of this and say, look at this. This is a stadium full of people and it's all 18 to 34-year-old people, and it's predominantly male, and they're watching this video game be played. Isn't that amazing? And everybody in sports that doesn't have the extra metrics goes, yeah, that is amazing. Wow. So how do we get that? It's like, well, all you got to do is you give your stadium over, and people will play Overwatch and watch it. Never mind that this is a world finals for League of Legends. They don't care about that. They don't understand this, okay? So the market thinks that esports is going to do super well, super fast, and the trajectories and all the numbers and metrics are indicating as such, right? Esports for the last 3 years has been growing 40% YOY and has been really good. And so only people that are really the only people who know that this is a meme are the team owners. It's the only people. And there's not that many team owners. There's like 15 to 20 team owners. And all of the team owners are not incentivized to talk about why esports is not good because they own teams. So why would they do that? Right? But I'm not a team owner anymore, so I don't care. And I don't really like esports either, so I don't care. Double don't care. So really, I'm the only one that can talk about this, that will talk about this. Esports is a huge meme, basically. It's a huge meme for a while, and then it's going to be really good later. So probably the big brains in the sports teams understand that, and they're willing to take a loss for a while. But there's a difference between some things which I think have a sustainable future. Esports obviously does, and and some obviously bad decisions, which the Overwatch League is objectively just a bad decision. Activision's problem is that they're trying to control the means of production, I think. They're just trying too hard to control it by being the publisher and saying that nobody can do this but us. And so what they're doing is they're doing that because they want all the profit. But the unfortunate thing is they also take all the loss by doing that. A much better model is something like Epic Games, right? Where Epic Games says, hey, sure, we don't really care about owning the tournaments, but we'll give you guys some money to run your own tournaments and promote our game. That's the true big brain thinking. And you're going to see publishers do that a lot more rather than try to control their own leagues and take on 100% of the risk. So the LCS model or the OWL model of doing things is really bad. There's no reason why publishers should control esports leagues and then ban everybody else from running tournaments. If you want to run a tournament, you should just be able to do that. Better yet, you should be able to send a message to some CM at Blizzard or at LCS, and you should be like, hey, I want to run a tournament. And then that CM evaluates your tournament, and if it's serious business, gives you $5,000 to $10,000 to do it. And this should be happening en masse. And this would promote your game so much more than just running the LCS, which is just typically like a very boring thing after a while. Why not both? Because OWL and LCS cost an enormous amount of money and don't get any kind of return. OWL and LCS are just bad business models. Sponsorships do not pay for the amount of cost that it costs to do these productions. These productions cost hundreds of millions of dollars, and sponsorships are in the millions of dollars. By letting others, so listen, let me just put it this way. Let's say it costs $700 million to run a LCS tournament, okay, for a year, because I think that's how much it costs. If I took $700 million and I opened up to the community, I said anybody can run their tournaments. All you have to do is send a message to our CMs and we'll evaluate it, and then we'll give out the money for your tournaments, and you can run these tournaments yourselves, and you inherit the production costs, and we give you the prize money. Okay. Keeping in mind right now that Activision and League of Legends ban people from running tournaments. Okay. If I want to run a tournament for League of Legends right now, I can't do it. Okay, so let's say that you just open up that 700 million and so you give it to everybody that asks and wants to run a tournament and is serious about it. What would happen? Well, it turns out we have a use case of what would happen. It's called Fortnite, right? Fortnite took $400 million and said, okay, listen, we're not going to publish our own league, but we're going to give you the ability to run your own stuff. And how's Fortnite doing? Well, it's freaking fantastic. It's the top #1 game, and it's attracting tons of people. There's tournaments all the time, and they're super good. You can even see this in Nintendo, too. Nintendo just didn't do anything, right? And it's still better. Nintendo was just like, yeah, we're over here in Japan. I don't know what this esports thing is. That's cool. And so by Nintendo not banning Smash Ultimate, there's tons of locals, tons of Evo, tons of Genesis, tons of stuff like that. Like the Smash community is very robust and healthy because there's just not someone saying no. You can't attribute Fortnite's success solely to esports. Tell me where I said that. You're strawmanning me super hard. Or not strawmanning, exploding my argument. I never said that Fortnite's success was due solely to esports. Never said anything close to that. Look at Dragon Ball FighterZ games, like they exploded and then tried to make tournaments exclusive. Yep, it's always a bad decision. You didn't say that. You said it was a huge contribution. Yep, it is a huge contribution. We know that. If sponsorships don't pay for large tournaments, why would it work for small ones? Well, the business model is different. You don't need to monetize tournaments in that way. You can do it differently. For smaller tournaments, you can monetize through ticket sales. You can monetize through like small activations or things that are there. Or you don't have to monetize at all. You know, it's just some guy that rents out a hotel room and or a hotel lobby or whatever for a few $100 or a few $1,000 and then takes the $10,000 from Riot Games and runs it. Like a small tournament doesn't need to get sponsored by Lexus to work, right? CS is like that too. Is there's non-Valve events and then there's also Valve majors. Yep. So that's one reason why the CS is surviving. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're splitting hairs. My statement is Fortnite has gained a great deal of its success from the free esports, the esports model that Epic Games has implemented. I don't think that anybody in the industry would contest that statement. I did not imply it's the sole reason. That's you, not me. Or better said by Andy, yeah, Fortnite would not be anywhere near as big without their esports model. Yes. Also, the other big benefit, actually, I can't believe I left this out. This is really important. The other really big benefit of the open esports model is it actually allows better players to be discovered. So the reason why people like, so let's take like Ninja, for example. So this is actually a perfect example. And this is one of the reasons why I support that, like, the Epic Games model of like free esports models is huge, right? Ninja and a lot of the other players that are big Fortnite streamers came up through tournaments that were enabled by Epic Games model. And that's how they got noticed. And then those streamers then started to carry Fortnite as a result of that. So with the LCS, you have a limited base of players who are kind of like, basically, in theory, there could be a lot of people in North America right now who are better than everybody in the League of Legends LCS. Just better at the game. But you would never know so because either they haven't been scouted by teams or they haven't been picked up or they don't synergize for whatever reason. And now, because teams are in a franchise model in both OWL and LCS, they are less incentivized to pick up top talent because they are more incentivized to hold on to brands with the hope that that'll help them get sponsorships. Does that make sense? Whereas with Fortnite, the top player will always rise to the top to win the tournament because there is no such restriction. So like a really good player like Shroud will always show up. So if there's a new Shroud or something, you'll never find them in the LCS. But if there's a new Faker, right, it'll be way harder for that person to be discovered unless the team happens to discover them, they're interested in esports or whatever. Whereas like a new Faker or a new Shroud can be discovered very quickly in a Fortnite model because that person would rise to the top of tournaments and start winning really fast. The LCS players are hidden from the player base because they don't play tons of pub games and they have no time to stream. Yes, also right, too. Yeah, 100%. So it's like it's almost its own thing. And also, by the way, that limits them as brands. So that's yet another thing Minecraft just brought up that's super smart, right? Most of the LCS players can't build their brands because they're scrimming 10 hours a day because they're trying to stay in a franchise tournament. Whereas, again, if a person is playing, if individuals that are not on teams are winning tournaments and being discovered and practicing on their own, they are much more apt to be noticed as streamers and have much more time to broadcast because they're not locked in by like teams making them do things for like 10 hours a day. To some extent, this is a difference in model because Fortnite is a one player and League of Legends is 5, but it's still applicable. What I understand is that esports is a profitable business when companies allow more tournaments. Yeah, it's a better business. Well, look at TSM and NALCS. They had subpar players for whole seasons, and they were names in the business, so it carried some weight for them. But what statement are you making, Diabo? TSM's a weird one because TSM didn't make any of their money from esports. They made their money from ad networks. They made their money from content networks, right? If you guys remember the old days of TSM, they owned Solomid Network, which was like Champion Select, which everybody used, the TSM Guides website. There's like a zillion websites that they own and still own that are the predominant source of their revenue. So TSM's kind of a weird example because they actually built another business to support their esports business. And that's the only reason why they're like really profitable and different. You see that too with like Team Liquid. Like Liquid makes a lot of money off of their studio productions, a lot of money off their filmography because One Up Studios, which they own, is like really good. Stuff like that. Do you think that BR is also, for whatever reason, attracts stronger personalities? Aside from being able to stream more food, I think that some esports just did not attract a lot of players with marketable personalities. SC2, for example. You know, the crazy thing about SC2 is that SC2 has the best casters in the industry by far. Like Tastosis, dude, those guys are busted. Day 9, like, dude, like all of the good casters came from StarCraft, and yet you have some of the most boring players that actually play the game. Personalities are really important. There are some, but I think to say that SC2 didn't produce some personalities is probably not right. Like Idra, like it's just, we're just a long time out from them. Idra in control, DJ Wheat. Like there's a lot of people that Destiny, a lot of people that had personalities that came up in StarCraft. It's just not a lot of people that won games, although we're pretty bad by comparison to the Koreans. That's a whole nother issue is that I think the Koreans just don't translate well to American audiences, but even then, it was pretty good for StarCraft. Like I remember, like MC, Nestea, they all had like their own brands and stuff. Yeah, I think SC2 had a lot of really good personalities. I think a better example is League of Legends. I think League of Legends has very bad personalities, probably the worst out of anyone besides Owl. I don't know anybody at Owl. League of Legends, all the personalities that are like kind of relevant are people that are older players, so Doublelift, Afromoo, people that have been in for years and years. You don't really see a lot of new come-uppers. I don't know what it is about League of Legends players, but they're just not willing to bring the hype. All the hype is brought by people like streamers like Tyler1 and stuff like that. League of Legends is lucky to have Tyler1, but you need way more of that kind of person in esports to kind of like shake things up. I think one of those people can actually change like in industry if you get one of those people. Destiny and In Control were not great. Well, that's my point. Is that I'm saying that StarCraft produced a lot of amazing personalities, but the people that were amazing personalities weren't necessarily good at the game. But that still helped the game. I don't know. Like, I don't know if you guys feel like this, but dude, OWL and like LCS are just like so boring. Like, I'm not gonna watch a game these days. OWL I never watched because I just never could get into Fortnite or whatever. And I think there's probably a lot of people like that. But LCS now, like I used to watch LCS all the time. I watched it for a lot of the storylines and the rivalries and stuff like that. It's so stale now. It just doesn't like, it's like the same games over and over again. Just like the content is really stale. I feel like the content's like really, just the same thing. Like, well, what do you think? Well, I think we're going to win. Well, what do you think? Well, I think we're going to win. And it's, yeah, there's no like true rivalries or no, like everybody's, a lot of that too is like Riot's like play nice policy that they had to back off on a little bit because if they didn't, then they'd have a dead game. So they brought in, they did a deal with the devil and brought in Styler 1. I should talk about this stuff more, man. People are interested in this, and I know a lot about it. It's weird, man. I don't know if there's not many people in the scene that know this stuff. You have to live it. I also don't like. I don't know if I just yeah. I think that in general, like Activision is really making a lot of bad decisions and probably going to continue to. I don't know. The tournaments, I guess I'm trying to like what I was about to say before. I was trying to think about it. I'm trying to think about why I like Smash so much and why I think that Smash is so good and why I'll watch like a random local when I don't even know the players. And it's because the rivalries and the emotion in Smash are real. This is what I feel like is missing from like OWL and LCS and stuff. If a team wins in the LCS, I just don't care. I know it's important to those players. But in Smash, I think I can show this. Is this the grand finals, man? Man, just watch this for a second. Let me up the volume. So, like, in the finals of Genesis, Void, MK Leo comes back from, like, he's coming up from losers, so he's got to beat Void in 2 best of 5s, and he does.
There's enough Let's Go Void chance in the world right now that can save this man. Not at all. Don't think it's good.
Watch Void.
Guys, if you doubted the fact that this boy could 3P, I hope you have an alphabet soup for dinner because it's time to eat your words. MK.
Like, nobody wanted MK Leo to win. He's an insanely good player, and he's really, really good, but his style of play is just consistent neutral airing, which is just obnoxious to watch. It's just up air neutrals all the time. And you saw like the disappointment in Twitch chat when Leo won. He might be the better player, but man, everybody's chips were on Void for sure. Besides anybody from Mexico, those people wanted MK Leo to win, but everybody else wanted Void to win. And like the reason is because like Void's personality and that personality of those kind of smashers, it brings the hype, right? It's like people just like want to watch the personalities in Smash. Yeah, the melee equivalent of MK Leo is HBox. It's like this But even that feeling of that tension between this kind of playstyle and Voids and what just happened there, even that feeling is better than what the LCS has, which is there's no tension. This tension between like, yeah, this like super boring neutral style of play and like this kind of like exciting, like fast-paced thing, it makes the whole event more intimate. It makes the whole event more meaningful. But when you see someone's like soul get crushed like this, like Void, you just know, man, this kid was all in on this. He put so much into this. He tried so hard to for this to happen and just wanted more than anything for that to happen. You know? And when you see a player win a tournament too, it's different. I wish I could find another one like this where someone like wins a tournament. When you see Void run around, like he jumps up. Like Leffen does this too. Like Leffen like jumps up and like points to the crowd and stuff like that. It's like that kind of energy is what we need to see in the LCS, but the players are just so mute. Both LCS and Al worked hard to kill their personalities and streamline them. Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of these people have those personalities too. Like, so a good example of this was like Doublelift. Doublelift like totally has the personality to like carry League of Legends like super hard. And he did for a while until Riot did this play nice policy BS where they were like, oh yeah, Doublelift, like you can't be mean on the broadcast. And like Doublelift had to tone himself down a lot because he was like getting told by Riot constantly that he couldn't do these things. And he wasn't doing stuff like really dumb. Like he would like look over at someone after a match and like thumbs down, you know, like that's fine. But this policy of like stand up, come over, shake hands. Sometimes you can hug if you're really good friends, but you pretty much should shake hands, right? Like it's so stupid. It's so dumb. Nobody wants to watch that shit. It pisses me off. This culture of like, sorry, I'm getting really like, okay. I'm not gonna go down that path, but yeah, it's like. It's okay, dude. Throw a pie or something. It's all right. Like, I'm so sick of companies trying to own. I'm so sick of Activision and LCS, actually. I have nothing good to say about them. It's so fucking arrogant to hold your own, to publish your own game, then ban everyone else from building tournaments. Fuck you. Seriously. Like, it's so ridiculous that to not give the opportunity to give other people the ability to run tournaments and then support that. And you know what? This is what it leads to. A bunch of broken hearts, a bunch of people that are laid off because you overhired with stupid expectations. Bobby Kotick's a bad CEO. And it pisses me off even more. This probably pisses me off the most, being a CEO myself at one point. And like, take ownership of it, dude. All he does is he talks about how good Activision was. Activision's not good, okay? All I need to do is I need to go here and I need to hit Activision stock, and then I can look at this. Like, wow, what is it really good? Did you really have an amazing year, buddy? It doesn't look like it. It looks like you're down 40%. Why not take some ownership and be like, you know what? We've had some serious problems. I'm really regretful that this is something that we've had to do. It's because of the mistakes that I've made. Not important leadership changes. You're the leader. You are the leader. You take ownership for what you did wrong. Be accountable for the fucking business you run. Don't blame it on your fucking team. You just let go of 800 employees because you arrogantly wanted to keep all the production and publish the game yourself. You're bad at business. You're bad. Sorry. Okay. Went a little bit hard there. Okay. Just really upsets me. A lot of my friends got fired today. Is taking blame a good business decision? Being accountable as an executive, actually as anybody in a business, but yet being accountable as an exec, good question, super good question, but being accountable in a business for the mistakes you make and not shitting on your team is always the right decision. As the CEO of a company, everything is your fault. Period. I think people that are older in my stream have heard me say this. Being the CEO of the company, it doesn't even matter if you never even knew about the project and it's in a department that you had no idea about. It's always your fault because you're the only one that could have had all your hands in the pie to change it. So the onus is always on the executive. Even if it isn't your fault, it's still your fault. Take ownership for it. Don't blame your team. How do you think it makes the people at Activision feel for the CEO to come out and say, hey, man, my team sucks. Yeah, I had to fire like 800 people. We're doing really good if it wasn't for these leadership people. Like, how does that make my directors feel and my VPs? Unless you're a power-hungry cock, you don't want to work for a guy like this. So what happens is like a lot of the talent like leaves. And they go to places where they're appreciated because we're human beings, not automatons. And I'm not all about the whole like yeah, everybody that's been on my stream for a long time knows I'm like capitalist to the maximum, dude. But I'm also very a big advocate against bad CEOs. I don't know how PR works when you take blame on that. You know what? It works really well. Because you could take two different types of responses, right? Just look at it from like an anecdotal standpoint, where it's like, if you heard someone say, hey, you messed this up, and they're like, well, no, it was that guy over there. He's such a dick, dude. He can't do anything right. My whole team is useless. It's so, like, how does that sound versus, you know what? You're right. I did mess that up. And I'm going to improve next time. I'm going to take the hit. We're going to take the hit for it. That was legit my mistake. I learned from it. I'm going to try better. How does that sound to you versus the first thing, right? It's better. Taking accountability, always better. Nintendo exec took blame for a bad financial year. Yeah, the Japanese are really good at taking accountability. Like, sometimes they're too good. like when the Japanese samurai killed themselves because they made a mistake. Like, I think that's a little bit high level, but like, yeah, they get the point. Yeah. We know the PR is worse for we don't know people say stuff like Moxie is saying now. We all know that Kotick is responsible for AB shit direction. It doesn't matter for Activision Blizzard acknowledge, and this is going to continue. Yeah, and the thing is that Kotick literally, like, it would be one thing. It wouldn't be one thing. He should still take accountability. But let's say that it wasn't Bobby Kotick that took on the Overwatch League. Let's say that he gave it to like a director to do. And then it was that director's fault that the Overwatch League didn't work, okay? Like, maybe, like, then Kotick would have, like, an excuse. He should still take accountability. But no, Kotick personally oversaw the Overwatch League. It was his idea. He sold the teams personally. He was there giving the presentations. It was him. But Bobby Kotick will never take ownership of anything. That is a super arrogant CEO. It's just sad to see.